Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Find a Moment podcast, where we navigate the space between ideals and everyday life. We are your hosts, Gretchen Roberts and Jennifer Ford, and we look forward to finding a moment with you today. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Find a Moment podcast. We are so thankful that you all have joined us for our first season. We have just finished season 1, and we would love to wrap up the season with a season 1 recap, where Jennifer and I are going to discuss the different series that we went through this first season and reflect on the different series that we did and the wonderful friends that we interviewed, and then also hopefully give you some sneak peeks for what is coming up in season 2. So, hello, Jennifer.
Hey, Gretchen. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. We had such a fun local Christmas party with Find a Moment, too. Jennifer hosted us at her home, and it was so great to see so many friends, old and new, and connect with them and hear about what the podcast has meant to them. And it was a really sweet time. Thank you for hosting that.
Oh, well, thanks for helping. It was also a good time to just usually I feel like, and this is probably how a lot of people do Christmas, but you have these kind of groups of friends that you celebrate Christmas with and have all these different Christmas parties, maybe your small group or your book club or your mom friends or your neighbors or, groups like that, people from church, whatever. And then this year we thought, well, why don't we just do everything all together?
Yes.
Because everything was already getting busy. And so that was sweet. And we did it drop-in style, so people didn't feel like they had to come and stay the whole time. But it was, and I've never hosted a party that was like that, but I thought if we just call it a drop-in, maybe that's like low pressure. And people could just come by and they don't feel like they have to commit an entire night of like 3 hours or longer to hang out. So we had friends from the neighborhood come by and people that you knew, Gretchen, that I don't really know that well. So it was neat to get to know them. And then some moms that were part of both of our Mom Heart groups from years ago. So getting to catch up and connect, and also finding out how many people are listening and paying attention.
That was really neat. It was really sweet.
I know I had shared, this is kind of a funny Christmas thing, but I had shared in one of our Home for the Holidays episodes that going through all of the ornaments for the tree, how that stresses me out. And especially because we have kitties. And so I don't want anything to get broken or messed up. So I've, the last few years, held off on ornaments. And then right before Christmas, I found a few and hung them on the tree. I even found some in a bin yesterday. And it's the 28th of December. I put ornaments on the tree yesterday, just a few. But a friend who was in our small group, my friend Joanne, she was in our married couple small group 19 years ago.
Wow.
She and her husband, they don't live in Wilmington anymore, but we're connected through Instagram. And she asked me for one of the recipes, actually, that we had talked about.
Fun.
And then she saw either a photo or a video that I'd posted on Instagram of like just the last couple days. And she said, "You have ornaments on your tree."
I love it.
But I thought how fun that is that she heard that and she remembered, and then she saw my post. Like, that just made me think like, oh, you never know what people are going to listen and take away and what they're going to notice.
Right.
And the importance of our witness and the way that we live our lives and the words that we use and the things that we share, and that they do matter.
Yes.
And so I think that kind of was a good reminder, a good perspective for me to have as we're just kind of looking ahead to season 2, to remember the way that we articulate the things that matter to us, to the world. We don't know who's listening. We know that there's people in Finland and Hong Kong and Lithuania who listen, and Germany, which is wild.
Yes.
But to know that we are called to steward the words that we share, and stewarding our friendship.
Yes.
With the world. That's a really sweet thing. So anyway, yes, there's ornaments on my tree right now.
I love it. And there are none on mine.
Which is crazy.
We have done a Christmas tree swap this year. So funny. Well, what fun season 1 has been. I think when I was thinking about what I wanted to share as far as my reflection, I think the biggest thing to me is how much our friendship has deepened and grown through this project, and getting to work alongside a friend, and not that this is really work, but like, to do a project of any kind together, it just brings a new purpose and perspective to your friendship. So it really, I don't know if you feel the same way or not, but I feel like it has really deepened my appreciation for you and just your wisdom and insight and how much I need your influence in my life, and like to share these conversations with you, and to really have those purposeful conversations where, you know, this is what we're going to talk about. And it's just been so good for me personally and for our friendship. And it makes me think, if you are listening and you want to do something with a friend, whether it's start a business or start working out together or, you know, or cooking together, any of those things that you think, oh, I would want to do, maybe I could do that with this friend. Do it. It just doing something as some kind of project or anything together that you're like committed to, getting together on these, you know, just really regular times. I would just say do it, because it will deepen your friendship, and you'll see things that you never knew were there in your friendship. And it just allows you, I feel like, to be your more authentic self too. Like I feel like I can just totally be myself with you and not feel pressure and feel like a total understanding of like, you get me. You know my struggles, and it's just been such a gift of friendship for me.
That I'm going to try to be like Mary and like store that up and keep that in my heart and treasure it. That's so sweet. I feel the same way. I have never really worked on a project like this with a friend, especially where there's something really long term. And one of the absolutely 100% yes, all of the things that you said about our friendship and how much I've needed it and how much it has called me to a new standard in my life, because I want to live up to what I think our friendship is. And I don't want to disappoint. I don't want to devalue or cause any kind of interruption in what we have, like just personally. But then of course the podcast project, all of that. But I also find that just mentally having a place to safely and now publicly, we choose what's, you know, put out there, because you do such a great job with all the editing. For those of you who don't know, Gretchen does all of the behind the scenes tech stuff. I do zero. Sometimes I post on Instagram, and even then I'm like, how do you do this? Sometimes. And you do a beautiful job editing and keeping everything tidy while still giving the listeners a really honest view of our conversation. I find that the process of articulating with you has been so refining for me, and having conversations and even bringing people in. Like every time I open my closet, which is a wreck right now, I think of Melissa's voice and I'm like, I can do this. Yes. I could call her and say, how much of your time will this amount of dollars get me with you? And then I say, no, Jennifer, you can do it. Like you can. So even like the conversations that we've had over the past several months, they have helped to change the narrative in my own mind. And when I fall short of that, my teenagers remind me that I say one thing on the podcast and then I do different things at home. So, I'll be very honest and say that my formation is still very much happening and that I'm still so imperfect. But I do feel called to a new standard, especially putting parts of my life in the public sphere. And I know your struggles, the ones that you've shared, you know mine, and the accountability and the growth that comes from that. And I would say too, if you don't have a person in your life, if you're listening to this and you don't have somebody in your life that you could say those things about, find them, find your person. And if you are an introvert, and maybe that feels a little uncomfortable, I promise there's somebody out there who is maybe feeling the same way, somebody that God has put in your life. And so it maybe, with it being a new year, one of your goals, if you don't have that person, maybe there's somebody in your life that you kind of think like, maybe that would be a good person to start meeting for coffee or going over and, this week you take your laundry over there and you fold laundry together. And then the next week y'all do laundry at your house. Like whatever that needs to look like. If you've got a bunch of little kids, like swap houses and do meal prep, whatever it looks like, just doing life together. It doesn't have to be like everybody's kids are put away and quiet and your house is clean and the meals are prepped for the week. That's not real life. Right. Okay, that would be ideals, because we talk about ideals in everyday life. That would be ideal, to be uninterrupted and to be focused and to have your pretty latte with your fancy design in the top of it. At a coffee shop, but that's not real life, and that's not everyday life. That's moments, and those are nice moments. But majority of your moments are going to be living in just dishes and laundry and maybe conflict and disciplining a child and having to apologize because you raised your voice, like I have to do every day sometimes. Like that's real life. But find somebody that you can do real life with and start deepening that relationship. That would be my challenge moving forward. But I do know that today we are kind of reflecting. So we're looking back a little bit on all the different series that we've done. Kind of wild that we've done a whole series or a whole season.
Right.
With multiple series. I can't believe that we're finished. And if this, I'll let the listeners know too. If this project were up to me, we would have done about 3 and then I would have been on to something else. Gretchen is so good. I'm like, I need novelty. I need something new. And I start to wonder, like, does this really matter? So every time you would say, do you want to get together and start planning? What do you want to do about this next one? That was the way that the Lord said to me, this mattered, was your longevity and your just keeping on. Like, that's how I knew we're supposed to keep going. Yeah. Because I think sometimes the voice in my head says it really doesn't make that big of a difference. People don't really care that much about your everyday life and what you have to say. And so having you and your willingness to just stay focused and to keep the long view, that has been, I think that's one of those places where like you cover my gaps. Yes, you know, like I'm kind of, people can't see, but what I'm doing is I'm fitting my fingers together, kind of like the teeth in a zipper, but those things that fit together, God is going to put somebody in your life who wants y'all to do that for one another. There's purpose and beauty in that.
And you always come with these great new ideas where I would just keep doing the same thing, you know, so it's just leaning into each other's personalities and finding that sweet spot of working together, which kind of takes us to our first series that we did on identity. Wow, that feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? Does. I feel like that was an essential series because so much of what we do in every sphere of our life is affected by how we see ourselves and how we see others. And so kind of getting that foundation and having that foundation allows you to then go into all these different areas with more wholeness. And in that series, we interviewed Maggie. Aww. And I will share that is our most listened to, most downloaded episode of season 1 was Finding a Moment with Maggie. So if you haven't listened to that one, you should go back and listen. The things she shares are just so good. And in reflecting on that series, Maggie led at church on Christmas Eve in worship, and to see her on stage and to hear her, and then also to see Brooks, who we interviewed in our worship series, and to see them and to let them lead us in worship. No, I feel like I know them both so much better, and I know their hearts so much better, that then to hear them on stage, it just makes this connection and this, I can just feel the authenticity through them. So like, it is so neat just to feel like I know them more than I did before we interviewed them. And it makes me want to know the other people leading on that, you know, to that level, just to know someone's heart and to have those conversations. It's so powerful. So it's really sweet. Her beautiful voice, and then the beautiful work that God is doing in her heart, and the way that she articulated it was just so wonderful.
And she's such an open book. I mean, sometimes we'll be in the green room, because the way that I know Brooks and Maggie is through the worship team, because I'm one of the worship leaders. And that's how I have gotten to know Maggie, especially seeing her as she's gone through. She mentioned in the episode going through the Akeda school of the worship school that our church has put together, that Brooks has leading the team through. But so much of what Maggie shared on that episode was just so raw, and a lot of it, and this is just her personality too. Like she'll talk to anybody about any part of her life. She'll talk to a stranger in the park, somebody, the server at the restaurant. Like she's just so open with her life. And I think she stewards it because she knows that it's the Lord's. If you haven't listened to that episode yet, it's in our very first series, the Identity series. And I guess it would have been episode 4 maybe in our whole season, but it's called From Stolen Identity to Wholeness in Christ. And it just is this incredibly powerful testimony of how the Lord has rewritten the narrative of who he created Maggie to be, and how living that out and moving into that has changed the way that she does ministry and the way that she loves and serves her church and her family and her friends and the people that God puts around her. But yeah, that was a really powerful episode. And that's part of why I wanted her to come, is because I knew that she would hold nothing back. I knew that she would just be very, very honest. And she was. She was.
So good.
We were also brainstorming about season 2, and I almost wonder if revisiting identity would be, and we could even do that as a standalone, but maybe our listeners could give us feedback, like if that's something that would be helpful. But I almost wonder if something identity related. Well, we were talking about introvert, extrovert dynamics too. And there's a lot to be said about that and how that affects our perception of ourselves and where we fit into our community and ministry and church and what we feel equipped to do based on our personality, that part of our personality.
And like we had talked about leading as an introvert, leading as an extrovert, and then also parenting as an introvert and parenting as an extrovert, and then parenting introvert children. So I think there is a lot more that we could definitely go through, and so many good books and things to talk about too. So let us know if you would like to hear more on identity, or, you know, just how that plays out in the different areas of your life.
One of the things that as we kept kind of talking and using that language, and we were talking about identity and how our identity as individual people who God has made for his plans and purposes, like that doesn't change. But then we have these things about us that maybe do change, like our preferences. You know, like I was telling you a little while ago that when I first did the Myers-Briggs, I tested as an extrovert for the first few times. And then like my most recent time doing it, which was May of last year, I tested as an introvert for the first time. And I would say that I feel like that's probably pretty accurate now. So those are things about ourselves that do change. So there are things, it's important to know who we are, what God says about us, but then also to know who we are in whatever season of life. So like right now, maybe I am more introverted. And what does that say about me and what my threshold is for, you know, social stimulation and exerting myself through ministry and leading and, you know, things with family, or if the girls have 30 kids over for a Christmas party and I'm going around checking on everybody. Like at the end of the night, what can I expect of myself? Am I going to be recharged, or am I over it and just want to be alone? There are things about us that change through different seasons of life and as we grow, but then there are going to be things about us that we need to know are not going to change depending on our circumstances or our choices or what we prefer. And those are the things that God says about us.
Right.
So I found, like, as I was talking, using the language in that series, I was like, okay, wait a minute. My identity is not an introvert, but that's part of how I'm made. So like those things are different. Anyway, that's something that I learned, is that, like, to differentiate between those. Okay.
That's so good. I like thinking about that as far as identity, preferences, and then the roles that you have, you know, maybe your role as stay-at-home mom, or and then that may change into a role as being in the workforce and that kind of thing. So, but you're right, it doesn't change your identity, but it does change a lot about circumstances and who you are, and as far as capacity and things. So
Yes.
I definitely think we could flesh out some more there. Then we went into an education series.
So good.
That was really fun. And we talked about kind of all the different stages of life and what education looks like in the younger years and the school age years. And then pursuing education and kind of learning, lifelong learning as an adult. And then we had so much fun with Jenny.
Yes.
And how about the art heist?
Yes.
Because you two shared all about your love of the art heists and all of this thing. And then...
Yes. And then there was the big theft at the Louvre. Yes. It was wild.
A little foreshadowing and Find a Moment podcast.
Oh, boy.
Oh, that was so fun.
One of the things that stood out to me in that conversation with her was she was talking about how a lot of the education as her kids got older happened through trips. And it made me realize, and we talked about this on that series too, like I just have this weird thing with traveling and I'm not good at planning it and picking the dates and where to stay. And you know, Amelia is a junior this year.
Wow.
Like Carrie and I were talking the other day. I was like, we have to go to DC.
Yeah.
The Dead Sea Scrolls are at the Museum of the Bible. We have to go. They're there through most of this coming up year. I was like, we have to go. We have to go to the Smithsonian. We need to go to the Capitol, to all the places. Like, can you imagine if we've homeschooled and never taken our kids to, like, are we even homeschoolers?
Oh, it's so funny you mentioned DC because we were talking about all the times we would go probably at least once a year when the kids were growing up. And, well, we lived in Pennsylvania, and we were like, I think, maybe an hour or two from D.C. And so we'd always go for the Cherry Blossom Festival. Oh. And then, you know, the museums are just free to go in. And so we would just take the stroller and go and all the things. And then when we moved here, it was, you know, a 4 or 5 hour drive. So we could drive up on a Thursday night after work and then have Friday, Saturday, and come back Sunday. So we did that a lot. Well, my adult children, like, they don't remember. They're like, I vaguely remember DC. You know, like I remember a few things. I'm like, oh my goodness, all those trips. So they sort of remember. Mm-hmm. So it would probably be a good time for you to go.
Thanks for helping me redeem that. Okay.
She'll remember the junior and high school trip to DC. Maybe.
So what that means, though, is you're going to have to help me plan it because I know I have already texted you like probably 2 years ago. Like, okay, what hotel did y'all stay in?
Yes.
I know I did. And then I never did anything.
Yes. You stay in a hotel that has the metro and you...
Didn't y'all stay at the embassy?
We did.
See, I remember.
Because we have all... So if you're traveling with a big family... I know, like, where you can park the oversized vans.
Oh, boy.
Oh, good. Maybe we could do a series on travel and, like... You know who would be to have to my friend Jennifer Wood, who goes on for Friendship.
Okay.
She does travel planning also, and she has done.
Are you kidding?
She's amazing, and she's done amazing travel things with her family too. We did a Northeast trip one year where we traveled from North Carolina up to Maine, and I knew that they had gone up north to the Northeast, and so. Like the best hack that she gave me that I had no idea about was to get the easy pass for the toll roads because up there are so many toll roads and it was the best thing because you just drive right on through instead of having to throw the change in the bucket and slow down and put the window down when you're cold or whatever. So she has so many great hacks, but yeah, some good travel series would be fun. Get you traveling.
Feels like a lot of pressure. That feels like a lot.
Oh, so fun. Maybe we could travel, find a moment on the road. There you go.
We could go to DC for a weekend.
Yes.
That would give me a lot more confidence to go because at least I would have my eyes on things.
It's one of those, like, what are they, like a scouting trip, you know, where you have to.
Yes. I like the sound of that.
We may have to throw in a little Disney magic too, you know.
Okay. I'll consent.
Oh, yes. And Jenny, she had mentioned, going back to the education series, she talked about her son and his photography. Mm-hmm. And I've continued to follow his pictures and things that he's put on his photography site, and they are amazing.
I don't think I'm not connected with them.
It's, think it's Nelson Photography, but I can link to it for you and share it with you. Oh, he just takes the most beautiful pictures. And I think it's so neat that she was talking about learning and how when you teach them to love learning and you make it fun, then he picked up a new hobby that is a true gift at 18, 19 years old. So his pictures are amazing.
That's awesome.
Then we moved into health and wellness,
which still challenges me today.
Which after the holidays, I definitely need to revisit.
Oh boy.
That series.
There were so many good resources that we mentioned and shared with that one.
There were, you're right. And I think that was one that when we talk about ideals in everyday life, I think that was maybe the biggest challenge one for me of ideals in everyday life when it comes to exercise and nutrition. And I don't know if it's that it feels like such a personal thing, or maybe my personality of having those personal perfectionist tendencies. But that was the one where I have to really make sure my ideals are realistic. And in my rule of life, when it comes to body, it is to keep it in perspective. And I think I shared that before, that keeping perspective and having healthy ideals, I think is just good for all of us. But I know for me that is a potential struggle of having unrealistic expectations and ideals that are hard on myself. So it was funny. I was doing some returns at UPS, and this man was lugging in this big thing, and I was like, well, what is that? And he said, it's my weighted vest. I'm sending it back.
Oh, my word.
It was 80 pounds. He said, I'm having back issues. I'm like, yeah,
no
80
kidding.
pounds. That's a lot to have on. But then the poor UPS guy had to get it and put it in a box. But yes.
It's like a small person.
Right. Definitely. I guess as moms, we probably had 80 pounds between the 40 on each hip as we're carrying toddlers around. So you feel like that one is still a challenge. I feel like I probably haven't. I definitely feel like this year I've slacked more in the nutrition exercise during the holidays than I have in years past. So it's interesting.
I feel like you've had some good things going on that have made that a little bit more challenging. But that's everyday. It's everyday life, and they're not things that last forever, and they're good things. Right. And so you're keeping it in perspective, like your rule of life says. That's going to enable you to move and transition back into kind of what you would hope it to be, or like what it was, at least kind of returning to where it was, which was really good because you look amazing. And I know that you're very careful and conscientious with all of that, but you've had good reason to have some interruptions there.
Doing some renovations, not having a sink or a stove or
all of that makes a big difference.
All the things. And I was realizing, you said that one of the things you enjoy is exercise when it's like purposeful things,
like yard work.
Like yard work and things like that. And I felt like I did so many of, moving boxes of things and carrying heavy things up and down the stairs. And so I thought, this is exercise. I cannot, neglect that to value this, because this is moving and this is exercise. But I did go back to the gym yesterday, and it had been a minute, as they say. And the fun thing about it was, there was no guilt. It was almost like I felt like I was going home, or like going back to somewhere that I'm so familiar with, and I just jumped back in, and I went with one of my sons, and we'd said we were going to stay for an hour, and so he came to me after an hour, and he's like, "We're done. I'm done. It's been an hour," and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to go." So I said, well, that's a good sign, right?
Sure,
that my first day back after a little break, I wanted to stay longer. He said, "You don't need to go back too hard, Mom. You need to ease back into it." So that was fun. It left me wanting more, which I guess is a good thing.
It's a very good thing.
Yeah.
A weighted vest was on my Christmas list, and so Santa gave me money to buy a weighted vest.
Fun.
So
Good
I
job,
need
Santa.
Hey, Santa. So I need to. I know you have one. I need to try one on and see where to start, because I don't want to give myself back trouble.
Right.
But I also know that I tend to start out a little overzealous, so I don't want to start too high.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to. I don't know.
I think the recommendation in general is 10% of your
Okay.
body weight.
Okay.
But then I think a lot of things also recommend just starting with 10 pounds. And they have some that you just have the vest and you can put like the iron pellet bags and make it whatever customizable weight you want. Or you can have one that this one is 10 pounds and this one is 20 pounds. So, and I think like my son who is in the Army, they ruck with 35 pounds. So that's kind of some perspective. Like some people say to start with 10, and then these Army guys are in like full gear with 35. So probably somewhere in there, you know.
Does yours have the little customizable?
It does not. I started with a 20 pound because I had done a backpack just with plates in it, and it kind of would like swing a little bit, you know, but I started with 10 and I knew, okay, I'm good with 10. And so then I did 20, and I found that 20, I was able to get into my zone 2 heart rate with a brisk walk, and it was good. Then I got a little overzealous after doing like maybe a year and a half with the 20, and I got a 30, and it was just, I mean, I can do it, but I feel like I'm not getting that much more heart rate benefit or kind of exercise. Like it kind of keeps me, I can be in that, but yet it does kind of bother. Maybe my shoulders and neck feel tighter with it. And it just feels like the cumbersomeness of the weight. It feels like it hinders me from maybe going as long as I would want to go. So I've kind of gone back and just stayed with the 20.
Carrie once in a while will ruck around the neighborhood, but he'll just use plates from the weights that we have in the garage.
And there are like, there's one called, I think it's called Go Ruck, and it is like a customizable backpack, and you can like buy their plates and everything, but it's really expensive. And I think when, you know, you could just put the, you know, plates in a backpack, and maybe even a smaller backpack, you know, like maybe a kid-size backpack to where there's not a lot of give for them to hit against your back as you're walking. But I have read some research that says having it on your back is better for you than having, like mine has it in the front and the back, as far as like neck strain and stuff like that. So, but I feel like with 20, I mean, it's probably not making that much of a difference, but
that's good to know.
Yeah. All the things on the way to vests. And I have seen them a lot more on people out and about than I ever have too. So I feel like it definitely is.
Every woman that walks in our neighborhood is wearing one. I'm like, you go, girl. Yes, ma'am. Get it, girl.
I love it. We are building that muscle.
About to join that club. Lucy wants one too.
Oh, that's awesome.
She actually wanted a walking pad for Christmas. And there's just not a great place to store it. And I just had to tell her to go outside.
Yeah. Can you put it under a bed, or is it still pretty thick?
The ones that I saw were under 5 inches tall, but for it to go under the bed in her room, when she would have it out and use it, there's just not a ton of space. And it just made more sense to use that money in other places that would still check things off of her list. And so we just had a little talk. But I think now that the days are getting longer, it'll be a little bit easier.
For sure.
But when she comes home from school, she doesn't want to go walk right then. And then by the time she's rested a little bit and decided she wants to go work out or walk, it's getting dark.
Yeah.
But the days are starting to get longer.
Yay.
Hallelujah. So I told her, we'll go walk together.
Yes. That's such a sweet time to have that time together to walk. We talked with Trevor on our health and wellness episode, and I think his wife is really close to having their baby, because remember she was
That's so exciting.
Fairly newly pregnant. So yeah, he should be becoming a daddy soon, which is really exciting. So he is just a great resource. And I still love the real life kind of clients and testimonials and things that he shares. So he's a great trainer if you need to connect with someone online and through his app and that kind of thing. So then we moved into our worship series.
Oh,
so beautiful. And our time with Brooks was so good. And like I said, just seeing him lead on stage now after hearing his heart behind worship and his worship team and the community that he's a part of there. It's so rich just to think about the depth of his heart for worship.
Yeah. He has spent over years so much time in the Word, time reading, time learning, time equipping himself through the 10,000 fathers and mothers. I think I'm saying that right, through that group that trains worship leaders and worship pastors. But he takes his role so seriously, and he has shepherded us through a lot of different seasons, and both in practical, technical ways, but then also spiritually and individually and as a team. And that's one of the main reasons why our team is so healthy and why the relationships within the team are so strong. And there's just genuine love for one another there. And a very, like our text group is called Worship Fam.
Aww.
And there's such a diverse group of people on the team. There's younger singles, like 20-somethings, unmarried, and then there's some young couples that have kids, and then kind of a lot in between, and then we have all the way up to myself. I'm the oldest woman on the team, and then Doug, who is our most senior leader. But just the way that everybody kind of plays their part in loving and caring for one another, I attribute so much of that to Brooks and the way that he's led, both internally within the staff of the department, but then also how that kind of works outward to the team. But yeah, if you haven't listened to that episode with Brooks or that whole series, if you had to pick one episode from the series, I would say pick the one with Brooks, because you'll just love hearing his experience and his testimony and just his heart and his ability to articulate biblical truth, and his heart and his love for worship and for the church, the Big C church. But I would highly recommend going back and listening to that. And if you're a member, if you attend Port City Community Church, give it a listen, because it makes, like Gretchen has said, and with the episode with Maggie too, when you're being led by somebody you don't know what you're missing out on until you get to know the person who's leading you, and then you receive their leadership and their guidance and their teaching in such a different way. And so if you are part of the Port City family locally, please give that a listen, because it will bless you to know, and it will encourage you to know that the team that is there serving the church every Sunday is being led and loved by somebody who is so intentional.
And it makes me think about the church and all the people who serve in all these different areas and who lead. And you think every one of them has a story, and every one of them has that calling and that love for, maybe it's for rocking babies in the nursery, you know, and there was a lady at church, and I think they said she had been in the nursery for 19 years, and that was her last Sunday, I think. Aww. This past Sunday. And so for 19 years, like every Sunday she has been, and that's basically almost the length of the church itself, you know, from the time it started. And so to think that, you know, every person in the church has that story or has a story, and just asking questions and getting to know those people, it makes, you know, if you're dropping your child off at Grow Zone or whatever you call your, you know, children's baby ministry at your church, you know, to ask questions of the people who are there and to get to know them on a deeper level than just handing, you know, your child off and hoping you can sneak away without them crying, because there is most likely just this amazing heart behind this person who is serving, and probably a lot of hurts and things that they've gone through. And so just taking the time to see each other as humans and to hear our stories, like it's so encouraging, and then makes me think I want to go slower through life and like take the time to know the people that I'm interacting with, and to like really know them, like not just a, hey, how are you, but
not a meet and greet.
Right. Woo, yes. And it also reminds me, you sharing about the worship family it's that multi-generational thing that we've talked about before is so important, and having that common purpose of leading worship and then inviting in this multi-generational. I mean, there's so much to learn from every generation, can learn from every generation. And I really would like to, in season 2, dive into some multi-generational things. I think there are some great opportunities there.
But I'm going to say it out loud for the first time, other than to my husband. But for years, I have thought about, and maybe I've mentioned this to you, Gretchen, but I've thought about what would it look like to have a grandparent type connective ministry or group, or connect some kind of mechanism that connects the grandparent generation in our church to people like myself whose grandparents aren't living anymore. And I need that wisdom. And there's something really sacred and special about the pace of those connections and those conversations, and something that I feel like is a deficit in my life. And I hear so much conversation and narrative around the next generations, and a lot of building up the young people and moving them into positions of leadership. And I think that's wonderful. And I also think there has to be a balance of still allowing the most seasoned members of our congregation, giving them sort of this crowned space to lead, because they lead in a way that is so unique, because their life experience and what they've lived through is just so unique and so different from what, the bulk of the young generations that, children like our kids' ages, and then the young adults, they've all lived through mostly a technology age with everything so much being digital and all of that. And that really, it sets a pace for life and for relationship and for connection and for the way that we display ourselves and the way that we perceive ourselves and the way that we value the things around us or don't. And in some ways, I feel like the relationships that we could have with people who've most of their lives have been away from that, they're able to share spiritual wisdom. They're able to love relationally. They're able to give guidance in a way and just have conversation in a way that is so unique. And also just in a way that's really innocent and empathetic.
Yes.
Because they've already lived through where we are. Not the same circumstances, not the same culture, but anyway, that is something moving forward and I know if I go to anybody at church and say, hey, I got an idea, they're going to say, what are they going to say?
You can do
it. You can do it.
Yes.
But I want to find some kind of way to start having intentional connections or to create those opportunities, because our church is getting older. When you go through the halls and you see tons of little kids everywhere, but you also look around and you see a lot of people who are decades further than we are. And I think, do they feel valued here? Do they feel seen with the conversations that we're always having about the next generation? And I want them to.
Right.
I want them to feel valued, and I want there to be a place for them to share what they still have to offer.
Yes.
They may not be taking over the reins of the church in the next few decades, but they are still so rich with encouragement and knowledge and
just true wisdom, right? Yes, for sure. Maybe we could do a grandparent series or something, and
I would love that.
Interview some of the people from church, and then kind of get their idea of what that could look like with their generation. I love that, and I love your heart for that. I think it is such a vital part of the church. I think there's so much to learn, and to let people feel the value that we have for them that they may not feel just naturally in that environment is so good.
And somehow that was kind of born out of what we were talking about with worship. I can't remember. Oh, we were talking about the diversity of ages. There's probably close to a 50-year bracket of ages or age range, like pretty close to 50 years between our youngest and our oldest team members, close to that. And that enriches our team.
Right.
In such a beautiful way. And so having that available in a more intentional way to the congregation for those who are interested, I think would be really life-giving and nurturing to the congregation. I feel like this episode is going to be such a quilt of different, like such a patchwork where everything we've done so far has been I feel like very focused and planned. This has been our most it feels very true to my personality. Kind of spastic.
Well, and then we can do this, and then we'll do this.
And then Gretchen's going to say, okay, first.
Here is our spreadsheet, friend.
Yes.
It reminds me, I just was thinking of Elf. And then we walked through the 7 layers of the candy cane forest.
I love it.
See, we are not finished. There may even be a season 3 in here.
Oh boy. Oh my goodness. Are we going to have to break our recap into 2 episodes?
I know, right? So we move from worship into friendship. Oh, hearts. And we got to talk with my sweet friend Jennifer Wood, and what a fun time we had with her. So great to go down memory lane and then to hear just the intentional ways that she is a friend, and to many generations too, like she talked about. So,
and there were some really raw, like very honest, raw moments between y'all in that episode too that I felt very honored to witness and to hear. That was just a very tender episode, and inspiring. Y'all been friends for 50 years?
Yes.
Known each other for that long?
Isn't it? And my dad sent me an envelope with all these old pictures in it, and I will have to grab it and show them to you today because there are so many with Jennifer and I, and we would have like matching sweatshirts and putting on plays at her house. And so, yes,
that's the best.
Definitely have to show you those pictures. I can't believe he found those and sent them.
That is the best. We also talked in that episode about scripture and what friendship with Christ looks like, and how that is so unique and such a treasure, and also something that is, I think sometimes we have expectations and ideals for our earthly friendships, and really only Jesus is able to fit that all the time. And even sometimes still, like what's interesting is sometimes we feel like we're not hearing from the Lord, like maybe we have in other seasons. One of our conversations that I've had with one of our girls recently has been like, I'm not hearing from him. I waited for an hour. I asked for a sign and I didn't get anything. And then she sent me something that she saw online maybe the next day or so, and it said, when you can't hear God, read God.
Oh, so I love that.
You know, his word is always available to us. Actually, when she was in those moments of feeling like she wasn't hearing from him and she was like, Lord, send me a sign, she opened up her Bible and it took her to, it might be Psalm 13 or 113. I can't remember which one, but David's basically saying, Lord, why can't I hear from you? And she said, this is all I got. He's basically telling me, no, I can't hear from him. And I'm like, babe, but he actually sent you something that lets you know that even David, a man after God's own heart, even David had moments when he didn't hear from the Lord. And he's letting you know that he hears you and he sees you. Like he sent you a psalm that is exactly what you're feeling. But yeah. So anyway, just another conversation. But yeah, she sent that to me. It said, when you can't hear God, read God. I love that. And I said, babe, that's everything I was trying to say, but it just didn't come out. Like, thank you, internet, for making it concise.
Right. And, you know, I think we talk a lot about our friendship and what a gift it is. And I think, I mean, it's taken years for us to develop a friendship. And so, you know, if you're listening and you feel like I don't have that friend, you know that it's not something wrong with you. Like it's, I mean, yes, we should always look into ourselves and think, you know, is there something going on with me that why I'm, you know, not having healthy friendships right now or good friendships, but just to know that it can take years of intentionality and of stewarding things and maybe not talking for a while and then catching back up, and that it's kind of a marathon. Friendship is kind of like how motherhood is, and that you do always have God, that he's always there. And you know, there have been so many times in my life when I have felt so lonely, and one of my prayers that I kind of always come back to is, God, just overwhelm me with your love. Like, just overwhelm me with it. And he never disappoints with that, you know, that I get to a place where, you know, I think when you feel lonely, the next step is kind of feeling unlovable. It's just kind of this progression, you know, of sadness and isolation. And I think in our isolationist culture, it probably is happening more than maybe we realize. But just crying out to him and asking him to overwhelm you with his love and to show you the ways that he loves you and cares for you, and to know that you, even, you know, as lonely as you may feel, you have God with you, and he sent Emmanuel, God with us, to be with us. And his Holy Spirit will intercede for us and pray for us when we do not even have the words to pray. So do not lose heart if you are feeling lonely, especially in this holiday season. It can heighten that feeling of loneliness. Do not lose heart that he is with you and he will not forsake you, and that he will be faithful, and that it may just be, you know, you maybe just get out of bed and call that friend, you know, and he will faithfully provide.
One of the things that came to mind when you were talking about seeking and investing in friendship, and that it does take time, is I'm not a great initiator, but most of the time I'm a pretty good responder. And so I've had to learn that about myself and recognize I'm not an initiator. I need to work on that. I can learn how to initiate, but that's a risky thing. And I think maybe from the way that I experienced social relationships when I was young, it made me not feel comfortable doing that because I was rejected a lot. And so it just didn't make sense. Like, why would I keep getting turned down? I think I'll just... I'll respond when it feels safe, but I won't initiate. Yeah. And so developing a friendship that does deepen and does feel satisfying and reliable and faithful over time, that requires investment, which is initiating and responding. It's both. So be vulnerable and take the risk.
Yes.
And initiate. Well, then our next series after friendship was The Home for the Holidays, which was our longest series out of all of them, because I think most of them were 3, or did we do 4 in some of them? 4 episodes, 3 or 4. This one was 5, and we got to talk about so many fun things. One of the things I learned about myself and what having these conversations, maybe I touched on it at the beginning of our talking through all of this, is when we're discussing it and I'm talking and articulating, in some ways it's kind of setting things up in my mind for me to be prepared for when the time comes to do the things. And I felt this year all of the different priorities that I have for preparing for Christmas, you know, whether it's cookies or making these specific recipes or decorating, whatever it is, I felt so much more prepared for it mentally, not necessarily because I even did anything differently, but I didn't feel like all of a sudden it just jumped out of the calendar and smacked me and said, it's time. I already had been kind of rehearsing just by us talking through all of this, the recipes, the books, the whatever they are, the decorations. I already felt mentally ready for it. Yes. Which has changed my experience for the better. I would definitely say this year is like moving into and doing all of the things. This year's probably been the easiest for me, and I attribute it to the conversations that we've had, just talking through it.
Yes, that's so true. And I think for me, with just finishing up all these projects at home and getting really kind of a late start compared to what I normally have for Christmas, I did not feel like the rush of it, because like you said, I had kind of mentally prepared for all these things that we wanted to do. And, I think it may have been Christmas Eve night or the night, or maybe the 23rd night, that we made our cookies with all the kids and decorated them, so it may have been near the end, but we did do, the things, and I didn't feel rushed, and that was really sweet. So yeah, I think that is a good lesson of what do you need to do. Maybe it's verbally processing, talking through the things of, maybe it's planning for the next school year, planning vacations or things, or are you a person who needs to write it all down and, have things planned out that way?
And if you don't have a podcast to talk through all of this, then
start one.
Do it. Start one, yes. And send us your link. No, if you don't have a way to talk through all this and kind of mentally prepare, think about what's the next big thing on the calendar that you look forward to, but then once it comes, you kind of feel deflated when it's over, because you say, oh, I didn't this, or oh, I didn't that. And find a person, take your laundry baskets, get your laundry baskets together and go to their house and fold laundry together and just talk through it. Or FaceTime a friend while y'all are cooking dinner or whatever. Find a way to make it attainable, but to have somebody to talk through, okay, what are the things that are important to your family? What are the things important to mine? That doesn't mean that you all of a sudden have to take the priorities that they have and they have to take yours. It just means that you're verbalizing them.
Like you said, learning to articulate it, and to really, it gives you so much clarity.
Yeah. Even the conversation that I had with our family, was it even in maybe early November, where I made a list of all of the things that I normally do. And I sat down with our family one night at dinner and I said, okay, who cares about this? Who cares about this? Who cares about this? There were things that I was prioritizing and draining myself over these things because I thought they were important to everybody, and they weren't. Literally nobody cared. Wow. And I was making myself crazy thinking everybody expects this and they expect that. And just even having those conversations, that in a way helped me prioritize in a way that made me know that I was serving what my family valued instead of me putting it all on myself and almost having this
like a martyr complex.
Having like this martyring attitude, or like an entitlement attitude, like I'm doing all of this for everybody and nobody's whatever.
Right.
I really did not sink into that this year. And I think part of that was I knew that everything we did, for the most part, was very purposeful.
Oh, I love that. That level of communication, I think, is just so important in general.
It's rare for us. So that was a good exercise, right?
But you think about it like with family travel or family birthdays, you know, and to, here are the things that I always do, or we've always done, but what is important to you and what matters to you, and what do you want it to look like? And it helps you to put your energy where it matters, right? That's good. And then we ended Home for the Holidays with our sweet friend Sally Clarkson. Aww. And that was such an encouraging episode. If you have not listened to any, I would definitely listen to that one. She just shares so much about the heart of being a mother during the holidays and with out-of-the-box children, and with tending to our own heart. And
I feel like the timing of that was good just for me personally, because that was right as we were starting to shift into the actual holiday season, because we recorded all of this before the holidays started. Right. They air, we record all of it a good bit before we air. And so the timing of that, though, was also great preparation. Just, we talked about ideals and, how do you know if you have ideals that are actually healthy ideals? Because if they're not, she said, they're impossible. There's no way to please everybody. There's no way to always have a tidy home. There's no way to do all of the holiday things without any kind of mishaps or attitude or somebody losing a privilege or whatever it is. Like, that's just not real life. And so, we talk a lot about ideals and then everyday life. And so I felt like that conversation was a really good launching for me personally, like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, launching into the holiday season with just with a healthy perspective, in a way that allows me to be gracious and kind to my family when the ideals aren't met.
Right.
Because that is everyday life.
Mm-hmm. So that's season 1 in a nutshell.
That's wild. I can't believe it.
So fun. Well, we are really excited to start season 2 with you all. In the new year, we will be launching season 2, and we've touched on in this recap some of the things that we want to talk about in season 2. Are there other things, Jennifer, that you want to share?
The one that one that I am excited about is the introvert-extrovert conversation. Yes. And that's something that everybody can relate to. And it's there's probably a tension there that everyone has felt, whether they're on the side of whichever one they are, and then being in relationship with somebody who's the opposite and kind of experiencing the tension or the empathy that requires, or just the understanding that can be created through more understanding, I guess.
And we'd also planning on doing a series on suffering and grief.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm really looking forward to that, because we have some friends who have walked through some really hard things and have really been acquainted with grief. And I just love their perspective, and I'm really looking forward to hearing their advice on how to enter into those seasons of suffering and grief with friends and family, and just how to steward that time and those seasons well. That is one series that we plan for season 2. We're also hoping to do a Meet the Artist series.
That's right.
And we want to introduce you to some older artists and some younger artists, and from all different types of things, whether it is musical art or visual art. And so some fun interviews in that series. And we talked about multi-generational ministry and life and leadership and that kind of thing. And then we're considering, let us know what you would like to hear, but we're also considering doing a series on marriage.
Hello.
So let us know.
The refiner's fire coming right up.
So we would seriously love to hear from you. So message us on Instagram, send us an email through our Buzzsprout link or through the Medicine Motherhood blog, or any way that you want to contact us. Reach out, let us know what you want to hear, and let us know what was meaningful for you in season 1. We would love to hear any recap reflections that you all have for us too.
I love it. This has been a fun conversation. Very much my style, all over the place. Oh, goodness. I'm glad there's not I'm glad we don't have to put an outline together for it. The transcript should be fun.
Yes.
It should be fun. I've loved doing season 1 with you, Gretchen.
Me too. It's been so fun to do it with you.
Yeah. Looking forward to the next one.
Yes.
Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.